Hello everybody, my name is Nairi. I'm running an adoption support channel, and today I just wanted to discuss with you or talk through with you what is it that makes people want to adopt, what is it that actually drives people to adopt. So the first thing to say about why people adopt is lots of people don't have children or can't have children, but that doesn't mean to say that they see themselves as adopters or people that can adopt. So not everybody who finds that they can't have children for whatever reason then automatically thinks, oh yeah, I know what I'll do, I'll adopt. So why is that? What makes a difference? I think that people that are thinking about adoption are the type of people who are willing to take a risk, because there is no real answers to how long it's going to take. There's no guarantees about what type of child you may have or what might be available to you, and there's no kind of like, you can't know what that journey is like until you start that journey. So to a certain extent you're going to be a bit of a risk taker. So let me tell you a little bit about my husband and I and how we came into this. So we had 5 birth children and we went for fostering first of all, and that in itself is a big leap of faith. And when we first went into fostering, we didn't really understand it in the way that we do now. We didn't really understand the difference between fostering and adopting, and I can remember saying to the social worker, well, we would be prepared to adopt as well. So kind of took that initial leap of faith, and I think what drove us to even foster was the fact that we were kind of getting to the empty nester stage, even though we had still quite a lot of children at home, but we felt like there was something more to give. And so inherently I'd say those people who want to adopt know that they have something more to give, because often the children that are going to be offered, not always, I know that potentially in the USA you might have more options for babies than we do over here, but in the UK generally speaking we don't have that many options for really young children just coming kind of straight from birth. So for most people, they know that the children that they're going to be offering a home to are going to have experienced some sort of level of trauma, and so those people are driven to want to make a difference for that child. I have to say as well as that most of us, as soon as we start the journey, realising that we want to make a difference for the child means that we realise we're going to have to make changes for ourselves. So also those that are driven for adoption are those who don't mind change, don't mind adapting. For this reason then it's okay to say, if you consider adoption and you look at what it entails and turn around and say to yourself, adoption's not for me, I think that's perfectly fine. Because adoption isn't for everyone. It's not something trendy, it's not something popular, it's not something that can be driven by the wrong motivation. And I think when you're examining yourself, you do have to say to yourself, is it for me? Am I willing to adapt? Am I willing to change? Am I willing to accept that life will not be perfect, the child will not be perfect? I think when you go for your own children, if you're able to have them and you conceive and have a biological child, you of course know your child isn't perfect, but you know exactly what you're starting with and where you're starting from, because day one that history starts with you. When it comes to adopting, you know in your heart that there'll never be that day one that starts with you. There will always be a start from a historical family there. The story will not ever be entirely finished, and so that requires a high level of adaptability. So I see adopters as people that are very willing to adapt and to change and to go with the flow and to accept what life might throw at them, because again, you don't have the finished jigsaw, you don't have the written story, you don't know how it's going to be to care for those particular children, and you don't know what trauma behaviours and what trauma will bring into your home. So again, you're very much prepared to accept that when you go for adoption. I think also adopters, I'm not trying to say this for myself necessarily, adopters are quite visionary as well, I think, because they have a vision of who they are and who they want to be, and they know that in their lives they want to do something. They want to do something a little bit special, visionary about their future and about a future for a child that may not have what they need right now. And so not only visionary, but there's a certain amount of spontaneity to this, because you examine the cost, you think about what could go wrong, what could go right, but you do it anyway. You count the cost, but you're still spontaneous to move forward. So many people will say, I thought about adoption, I thought I wanted to do it, but then I didn't move forward, and that's fine. But then there's those who think about it, count the cost, and decide they're going to move forward anyway. And that's that spontaneity that I think is there and drives adopters or potential adopters forward. You go into it potentially to make a difference. You're driven by making a difference. You're driven by something that feels like a calling to you. But as you move forward, you know you may not be able to make that difference, but you still do it anyway. And so that's that spontaneity again. So guys, I hope that helps you to think about and reflect about, if you're an adopter at the moment, if you can see some of those qualities in yourself. So it's nice to kind of see who you are, the reality of who you are. If you're thinking about adoption, to think about whether some of those qualities could be you. And I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you have, please subscribe to Adoption with Nairi, and I'll see you on the rest of my channel. Thank you.